Hey guys, this is Runchuks from Love the Spot. Today I'm going to record a video at PLO 5 as per request of one of my viewers. He wanted to see how I would play in the game with the very high rake structure, relative rake, and also in a game where there's a lot of multi-way pots, and weaker players, etc. So let's go. That's what we're here to find out. I'm not going to make any adjustments as to preflop, even though that's of course suboptimal. You should play much tighter with this rake structure. In these games, you definitely shouldn't limp, that's for sure. But I'm not going to make those adjustments. My reasoning is, whenever I work with my students, I try to give them ideas that are gonna work beyond the low stakes where they're starting. And I mean, I don't have anybody, none of my students are actually playing this low. And I don't think I would take students who would play this low. But the thing is, sorry, I was just, there's one table off screen, a 5K PLO where I'm waiting for a game and there was some movement there. So I got a bit distracted there. But yeah, so anyway, what's the point of making a perfect strategy for PLO 5, like an optimal strategy, if your goal is to move up, right? Because whose goal, anyway, is it to become a professional poker player, the biggest winner at PLO 5? That's not really, a good plan, because let's face it, you can't make a lot of money in these stakes. So if you're serious about your game, you should definitely look to move up and, eventually play mid stakes, maybe high stakes if you're very, very ambitious. But either way, to spend a lot of time trying to come up with the perfect strategy for these stakes, if that strategy won't work at the higher stakes and you have to do the same type of work, the same amount of work again, is it really worth it? Right? So what I'm going to explore here is basically, is it possible to win at these stakes without actually making adjustments to the rake structure and all the other things? So basically playing pretty much suboptimally for the stakes while probably making superior decisions post-flop. Now, actually, I just recorded a video here at these stakes. It was a 45-minute video. It was quite interesting, to be honest, but the audio quality was pretty bad. So I'm doing this over again, which sucks because I definitely didn't plan to do it. But unfortunately, I mean, I'm trying to finally be a bit more cautious with the audio quality because the last two videos I put out, there were some mistakes with the audio that I wasn't too happy about, and some of my viewers complained, and rightfully so, because some of the noises from PokerStars were a bit too loud. So that sucks, and the video that I just recorded 5 minutes ago, unfortunately, I put some sort of filter on OBS trying to reduce the background noise, and it's great, except it also cuts my voice in some places where I speak a bit lower or speak a bit more silent. So the audio was very, very jumpy, and to me it was just annoying. So I thought, well, I'm going to make it over. So here I am, playing a 1.5 hour session, potentially a 1.5 hour session at PLO 5. Amazing. Anyway, like I said, I'm doing this because one of my viewers requested it. And you can request things as well. Just basically go into the comment section. Let me know what you want to see. Let me know what you want to hear about. And I'll look into it. I'll consider all sorts of ideas. Obviously, you know, related to either me playing live, as I am right now, or related to the interviews that I'm doing with, people coming on our show every Wednesday on Twitch. All right, so this board, I think we can do both things, but basically checking back and betting. I'm going to check back in this situation. Obviously, going to be betting on the turn. I think. Actually, I don't know how detailed I want to make this video because I don't want to go into too much detail of strategy. I'd rather talk about the game itself with you and give you some tips on how to, improve your own game, how to work on your game, how to make the most of it. What the hell? I definitely don't want to see this. Okay, interesting. Another lead. We've seen a couple leads so far. Kind of tricky spot. I mean, I think by calling we're slightly wasting money here because we are unlikely to see the showdown. The guy keeps insisting on weird bets. All right. We do hit our gin card, but then of course we don't have the nuts anymore with the 6 being out there. A paired 6 on the board. Very tricky spot as to can we actually value bet here? I think we must, and I'm gonna make a larger sizing. Gonna be a very tricky spot if somebody decides to check raise because it's pretty hard for them to bluff, and I would be inclined to believe their line, but well, we fortunately didn't face that decision. And actually, you know what? The fact that I just recorded a video previously, and I have to record it again now, as I am doing, is cool because those 45 minutes also taught me something about these stakes. I basically didn't see any tough spots. We could get away with playing very loose pre-flop. People were not punishing us at all, and so you can get away with a lot of shit because people don't really know what they're doing. A lot of people. I mean, I'm sure there's probably some people who actually take this very seriously here at these stakes and try to do their best. But a lot of people seems like just having fun, hopefully having fun, or otherwise just clicking buttons. I've seen some weird stuff pre-flop and post-flop. And in general, people just, don't punish you for playing too loose. They don't try to steal pots post-flop. They don't try to 3-bet more frequently pre-flop. So, yeah. It's a definition of an easy game. And, obviously the biggest winner at this game is PokerStars or whatever site you're playing on, right? They are actually making money with their rake at these stakes. So, it's hard to make a living playing this low. I mean, you gotta have to start somewhere, so why not start here? Because of course, bankroll considerations are hugely important. Even when you're starting out in poker, you must follow proper bankroll guidelines. And we hear a lot of stories about people who turned their $5 into $1 million, and they deposited $5 and they basically went all in the first hand, never looked back. Right? These are great stories, but that's kind of we hear these stories from the people, the winners, right? We don't hear about 1,000 times more stories of people who deposited and busted, deposited and busted, deposited and busted over and over again until they just gave up because they figured, well, this game sucks. Right? So you have to be careful. You can't make stupid decisions with your bankroll. And when you're starting out, you have to know how much money you have available for gambling, basically. Because when you're starting out, this is the whole thing that you're doing here is an expense. It's an expense into your own education. You might be winning, you might be losing. It's not the point. You're actually trying to learn the game. And if you're not trying to learn the game, then you're just, playing for fun, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, go ahead. All right. Not gonna lead here. Just checking. And by the way, speaking of these things that I mentioned previously or earlier, if you haven't watched already, we recently recorded and posted on YouTube a conversation with Toby where we discuss what it takes to be a pro and how to take poker as a profession. We talk from our experience. We talk about some of the best practices there. We talk what worked for us, what didn't. And it's a really, really cool interview that we did there, or a very cool conversation. One of my favorites so far from the ones that we did. So I highly recommend you check it out if you haven't already. We're going to have a link in the description of this video below. And yeah, do check it out. I mean, it's a long video. It's like 2 hours or something, but it's worth it. You might not watch it all in one go, but go through it. It's packed with some really, really nice advice. Because I found that conversation useful for myself. So I do hope that you find it useful for you as well. Anyway, so I think we can start bluffing here. Still not out of the question that somebody has a jack, but somehow people are just really happy to give up. So, all right, I'll take it. Yeah, a bit of a quiet moment here. I don't really know what to discuss in terms of these stakes. Oh, yeah. I do think people are playing way too passive, way too straightforward. So, this is an easy kind of environment to make money. But again, you can't make too much money playing PLO 5. And also, I mean, when I'm saying, oh, it's easy to make money, etc., it's probably a bit unfair because it's not actually easy. It's not like anybody can just, deposit on PokerStars and start beating these games without, doing proper work. Poker is hard. The more you study, the more you realize how difficult the game is. You know, so basically, nothing comes for free here. You have to put in a lot of work to become a winning player at any stakes, even these stakes. It's no longer the time as it was, say, 10 years ago or even further back, when you could just maybe read one poker book and start crushing the games. Those times are gone, but it's a good thing because today, for people who have discipline, for people who have motivation, and for people who have basically willpower to to go and achieve their goals in poker, it's never been easier. There's so much advice there. There's coaches out there. There's all sorts of programs. There are great coaching sites, training sites, YouTube channels, lots of advice, lots of books, lots of videos. So if you want to improve, go for it. It's never been easier. But also, even, it's easier to get good advice nowadays, but improvement itself is not an easy task. You're gonna have to sweat. You're gonna have to really spend a lot of time to improve your game. Regardless of the stakes you're playing, I mean, I spend a lot of time studying still, pretty much every day. And just playing is not, and I've said it many times on many streams, many videos that I made, just playing is not enough to improve. You can play a million hands. If you don't do the work away from the tables, you're not actually learning. Or at least you're not learning at a pace that is relevant. You're basically lagging behind everybody else in the field who are actually putting in the work. Yeah, so not much movement happening so far. We didn't have any big pots or anything, unfortunately. I wish the audio on the other video was better because we had some fun moments there. I might actually still post it, post the other one as well, in case I don't have time to record something next week or the week after, because as you know, there's the Phil Galfond challenge looming. It's around the corner. So I might be a bit busy with things related to that. I am still not sure whether I am actually going to play. But we will soon find out. Jesus, I sound like a robot there probably. Or worse, I don't know. I don't know what it sounded like. So interesting. Okay, so this board shouldn't be a board where our opponent can actually c-bet, and yet he does. So, I mean, obviously I said he can't see. Of course he can c-bet, but not with the high frequency. I'm just basing my observation on one hand that, he c-bets, so it's a bit fishy. It's of course ridiculous. But what I was actually trying to say is that, we want to see the showdown in a situation like this. Because if we would see a showdown where he was completely out of line, so basically c-betting too much on a board like this, it becomes pretty easy for us to steal these boards from him, basically by either floating or making small raises on the flop. Well, in that case, he obviously had two pair, the bottom two pair, and an overpair kings, so he wasn't out of line at all. But this was definitely a spot to pay attention to a showdown. Okay, not the best board for us. I will check. Okay, this is very uncool. Very uncool. Unfortunately, I'm just gonna fold, and I'll give you my reasoning. And I might be completely off here, but the thing is, we need to always consider the likelihood that we have enough equity to call. Right? I think the likelihood in that situation is a bit low. So let's play the sand out, and I'll bring up the replayer and we go through it a bit. Um, okay, this board, three-way, yeah, slightly tricky. I mean, we should check very often here. With this specific hand, we could have easily c-bet, but I think we make more money by checking, playing turns and rivers. Now, I will have an option to raise the river, and I think that's what I'm gonna opt for. If he bets, I'm raising the river. If he checks, I don't think I'm turning my hand into a bluff. I think we have enough showdown equity here. No reason to turn it into a bluff. Yeah, he had trips. I'm not sure if he would have folded them. Anyway, so we wanted to see the showdown, or at least I wanted. I don't know if you guys wanted. So you see the player in position, c-bet for pot here. I would assume if this player would have c-bet, so the player who's sort of in the sandwich, I would be more inclined to call. But when a player in position who can just easily take the free card opts to mm, opts to c-bet there for that sizing, I feel like he actually has an 8. Especially we were blocking a 9, and we were also blocking the ace of diamonds. So he has less draws. Way less draws, so it seemed like not a spot where he's gonna show up with enough bluffs for us to call there. All right, so this is getting pretty close. We could go for a very optimistic value bet. I think we're better off just checking behind, because we are hoping to get called by like ace 10, which in fact he had, but well, actually he had ace queen as well with his 10. I don't think we ever get him to fold a chop, and it's very optimistic to target one specific hand as for our value bet. All right. Well, actually, here I'm tempted to bet out, but for people, yeah, we have no clubs, we have no potential with our hands, so perhaps just giving up is fine. All right, get some movement on the high stakes tables. So now we are going to be sitting at 2 of them. So yeah, basically if that game starts, oh, I didn't want to do that at all. I'm gonna do something about it later in the video when I'm processing it. But anyway, so now we're sitting at 2 tables at the higher stakes. We're sitting at the 5K and 10K table. I want to make this video at least 30 minutes to 40 minutes. So, if somehow the game starts on the other table, before that time, I'm actually going to show you a couple hands there as well. So, potentially there's some bonus footage for you guys at the higher stakes, but it is unlikely. This is not the time of the day when these stakes are usually, when the games are usually running. So, I don't think, don't hold your breath, right? All right, I've been just pretty silent for a while. What else can I tell you? It is a bit sad that we're not really getting involved in many hands. I mean, you see that, we weren't really getting anything playable pre-flop so far, which happens. Absolutely. Now, I want to remind you of one thing. It's really important because I know that people at any stakes always struggle with, their emotions, with handling the swings, handling the variance. And I have to remind you that, the results are secondary. The results are not what's important here. Of course, we all play to win in the end of the day, but yeah, let's open. I mean, this is a really marginal hand, but I'm getting a bit bored and just want to play. It's definitely playable, but shouldn't open it all the time at these stakes with the reg. But actually, you know what? I told you that I'm not gonna adapt, so that's me not adapting here. Okay, well, unfortunately, probably a check fold is gonna be our play. If we somehow get to see the turn, we don't. So yeah, bye bye. Again, back to the thing. So results are secondary. Focus on what you can control, focus on what's important, and what's important is your approach to the game, your process, how you execute your decisions, how you play, how you select your tables, how you take the breaks, how you decide when to quit. All of these things are hugely important. Game selection is huge part of the business, right? It's being a professional poker player. It's not only about playing hands better than the other guy, right? There's so many other aspects to the game. So again, if you haven't checked out the video where we talk about these things, do check it out. It's going to be in the description. The link is going to be in the description, so check it out. I highly recommend it. All right, another quiet moment. It's probably, one idea is to play several tables, zoom at the same time so you can see me multi-table as well. I suppose that could be useful because, then we can discuss a bit more about mm, decision making process, how to scan the tables, etc., etc. All these things, which are again hugely important part of the business. Okay, I don't see any reason to try to bluff with our hand at this stage. I do see a reason to bluff now, and that's what we're gonna do. Because he doesn't have 5 deuce very often. If he does, good for him. I mean, not gonna cry about it. And this is very exploitative, right? I wouldn't even attempt a play like this at the higher stakes game because my line, a check raise on the turn here looks full of shit. And it is, because you saw I can't stand any pressure. Even if he just calls in position, I have to give up on so many rivers. So it becomes an easy spot for him to just keep calling and just take it down from me. I just don't think people will play like this here. All right, so I don't think we want to 3-bet. This is a bit too weak to 3-bet, but we definitely want to see a flop with this hand. So let's see what happens. Well, the flop is great for our range, realistically, but not so great for our specific hands. So I'm gonna have to just check fold here, unfortunately. Not much we can do, especially 3-way, and he does continue applying pressure, or he, c-bets. to be more precise. All right, so we're gonna play this hand. This is not marginal, this is good. Even with the rake being high, I just think, these types of hands are easy to play. You should play them. If you don't, start doing that. Now, of course, this board is not great for us, and just gonna have to check. Probably, all right. So let me think. We do have the second nuts here. Our best play probably is to check call and then evaluate rivers. All right. It's not out of the question that he has the nuts here, so I'm not raising anything for value, but I don't think I can actually fold. Wow, this sizing is suspect to me. It seems like more value-ish, but that's just basically me making some assumptions based on nothing really. So yeah, the gut feeling was right, but still I don't see how we can fold. So we didn't, and we lost. But the type of line where he would go for a very large sizing on the turn and then goes like sort of in between sizing on the river just seems very value heavy to me, and unfortunately we just had a hand that we couldn't get away from. I think it would be a bit too much to fold second nuts there. Well, how about this hand? Now, I suppose... Okay, now it's getting even more interesting. We have two players here. I think I want to squeeze. It seems like a nice spot to squeeze. We can get away with a lot of stuff on the flop. Now, not the best flop for us, obviously. Gonna have to check, and we see. We evaluate on the turn. Well, turn obviously brings us a beautiful set, although it is a diamond, but we check. And so the river, well, there's two considerations here. We would love to induce something, but I don't think if we check, he's likely to bet. So how about we try to induce something by betting real small, and then hopefully he finds a crazy raise here somehow. Oh, he's saying he's seen my video. Making one right now. That's what I want to say. So yeah, it's cool. We have people in the pool who are watching my videos. It's really, really cool. I like it. That's why I'm doing this, for people to improve their game. I mean, I remember back in the day, many years ago, 7, 8 years ago, I used to watch Phil Galfon's videos, and it was so inspiring. His thought process, his approach to the game. I loved it. It was really inspiring. And now I'm considering playing a heads-up challenge against the guy. So, look what he did, in a way. Okay, so... Man, I don't love this spot. We don't have a beautiful hand to continue with, like, all the clubs. Actually, folding here wouldn't even be that bad. It seems a bit weak, but in this environment, I think we can actually fold. Now, that king and that ace suck because now he's very likely to actually have hit them. But we're gonna have to bluff. I can't win the showdown. I just have to hope that, if he folds, well, he folded something anyway. Probably folds a king there some of the time, and that's already a great result for us. And very likely he's folding 8-10. So that is also a great result for us, but yeah, I don't think that bluff was too special. Probably a lot of you guys out there would have done exactly the same thing. And if you wouldn't have, well, now you can consider doing this once in a while. Just don't overdo it. All right, so we have 2-pair on a board, which is beautiful for both players. And probably both options are fine. Betting real small and checking. I think I'm going to be checking at this time and, well, hitting my full house on the turn. It's beautiful. I'm going to start building the pot on the turn. And yeah, well, he snap calls. I do assume he has like similar type hand as we do, as in ace queen. Don't expect him to have ace 8. So let's see, maybe ace queen calls for this sizing. I suppose it did. We're going to look it up in the replayer. Yep, ace queen called. Nice hand. Can't blame him. He played his hand, let's face it, horribly pre-flop. Okay, so serves you right. But apart from pre-flop, the way he played it later, it's all good. So I'm looking at the clock here. I'm going to start wrapping up pretty soon. Well, I was coming into this session, or rather these 2 sessions. As I told you already, I recorded another one and I'm not going to publish it not to give you the bad audio. But yeah, so I was coming into these sessions with an idea that I'm going to face a lot of multi-way pots. And I didn't. I mean, maybe slightly more than usual, but not extraordinary or anything. I was coming into this session with an idea of I'm not going to adapt my play pre-flop. And so far, I haven't seen a problem with it. I know it's not an optimal strategy to play so loose-ish rather, pre-flop with this rake structure. But you know what? With the way people don't punish my looser play pre-flop, I don't see a problem with actually expanding your range. And I'm not advocating it, and I'm not saying that for those of you who are playing like PLO 50, PLO 25, PLO 100, don't start just loosening up with an assumption that people don't play back. But if you're playing the 5 PLO 5, you know what? It's probably soft enough game that you can get away with a lot of stuff. For those of you who are trying to actually build their bankroll coming through these stakes, my advice would be definitely follow the bankroll management. Don't do stupid things. Take it slow. Build up the experience of playing, first of all. That experience is also very important. When people apply for coaching in Bluff the Spot, one of the key requirements that we have is that you have experience playing high volume, right? Playing thousands of hands per month, because that is a skill in itself, right? Because putting in these super long sessions is not an easy thing. It's mentally exhausting, it's physically exhausting, and plus doing it on a consistently every day, day in, day out, it's hard. So build up this muscle here. at the low stakes without risking much. You know, this is part of the business. If you want to become a good poker player, you have to go through these things. You know, you have to learn how to play several tables at the same time. You have to learn how to, you know, do simple things like, for example, not time out. That's a start. You know, just scan the tables in the right way, and you know, all these little details which you can only learn and improve with practice. I mean, obviously, a good coach is going to give you pointers and advice, but a lot of this work you have to do it yourself. So anyway, this is an interesting board. We definitely want to see bet this type of board with a very high frequency. Unfortunately, we also block a lot of the hands that can continue, but I'm still gonna see bet because, you know, it's one of those boards where you do want to see bet a lot. All right, well, how about we do like a 41? And mind you, there's no logic behind these bets. I'm not actually trying to calculate some insane bet size ratios. I'm just, you know, trying to be roughly like 1/4 pot size bet. I don't even know if it was really close to it or not. And we got to stack the guy who opened a really horrible hand pre-flop, so I have no sympathy for him. There's no way you should ever open this hand in any game. Well, unless you're playing like Badugi or something, I don't know. Well, not even that. So, yeah. I guess we're not gonna do something stupid here. That hand, that previous hand, the Jack 8-8-10, that would have been. I don't know why I said Jack 8-8-10. Jack 10-8-8 makes sense. So yeah, that previous hand was too weak to open under the gun. It was single suited, by the way, in case you didn't notice. So that makes a big difference. Let's try to get away with the limp. If he raises, unfortunately, we're folding, but I don't think he would raise very often. And now we're gonna start bluffing. And with our ace of hearts, we could have made a lot of moves, etc., etc. Unfortunately, he does a weird thing. I click it back, raise. I don't have any idea what it means, but it worked. So well done, sir. I hope you had kings or something and you made a weird play. Weird plays confuse me, but doesn't mean they're good. Anyway, guys, I will leave you with this. I do hope you enjoyed the video. As always, do let me know what you think about it in the comment section below. And also, if you enjoyed it, do click the like button and subscribe. And I'll see you all next time. Bye.